right of way in front of my house.
So maybe,
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I go
public
back to a
property.
speed limit sign. They could put a flashing speed limit sign.
I don't care about those. I'm talking about a dynamic permanent sign.
That is a dynamic permanent sign. They have them near schools.
Yes.
You know, when you come through and they have that flashing, like, you're going too fast.
I've
That's what
done,
you're talking about.
yes, I've done a few of them, that's why I jumped to that, because that's
See,
what they're called, dynamic speed messaging sign, DSMS.
I'm jumping to the 25-foot tall dynamic
Silver
sign.
alert,
No,
whatever.
this wide, whatever,
Yeah.
in front of my house.
Well,
Because
that's good.
it goes in the
That
road
could
right of
happen.
way, which is public property.
Right.
Well, wouldn't that be covered
think
under
Our city wanted to do
what we're
it like
talking
that.
about with permitted signs by districts with the square footage and all that?
yeah,
I
that
mean,
all
it
still
would-
applies.
It would keep they would, yeah, they could probably have them, but they'd be small.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good comment there, because you have to keep referring back to other sections of this chapter to make it all make sense, the totality of all of it.
That's a lot
But
to
and that's
keep in mind.
but that's what they're doing, and that's why it's all just signs. It's not
Right.
getting into anything too specific. It's just signs in general, and then you're just making sure that the height, size, the setbacks are all in conformance, and then with the underlying zoning district, that's how you can regulate them. And so, again, it's unfortunate that we're having to rush this in one meeting. It should be a few meetings at least, I think, to go over all this stuff. So, do we agree though that we can get rid of the road
Yes.
type of?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't see where that becomes it.
Okay, and then it's still, any of those signs will have to get a CUP. So 2, location, the sign must be located on the site of the use identified or advertised by the sign. 3, orientation, electronic signs must be positioned so as to limit their impact on adjacent residential uses. At a minimum, such signs shall be positioned perpendicular to the adjacent public right-of-way.
The
Type-
dental sign used to light up my kitchen at like 3/4 of a mile away.
That's fixed now.
That's fixed.
Type of sign. Dynamic signs are limited to ground signs only as defined in this chapter. A ground sign means any freestanding sign with its sign face mounted on the ground or mounted on a base at least as wide as the sign and which has a total height not exceeding 8 feet. Text size and legibility. The following minimum text sizes shall apply to
Hold it.
all dynamic signs.
Hold it.
Why did I have that in my copy?
Dynamic signs are limited to ground signs only as defined in this chapter, and that's a height of 8 feet.
Mhm.
They could be 8 feet off the ground, but they still can't exceed the square footage of the premise. If you're worried about the residential, they still.
No, what I'm, it can only be 8 feet high,
Yeah.
a dynamic sign.
You don't want people looking up at the light up signs, I think is the intent.
The dental sign is a dynamic sign.
What about like,
No,
what
see,
about,
but-
yeah, like,
The lights.
the lights, thank you.
Yep, thanks.
That's a humongo sign and it's up high.
I think it's
That's
a
not-
traffic
I'm actually
hazard.
surprised that that's in there.
Pardon?
I'm surprised that that's in there.
I think limiting it to a ground sign, which by definition is 8 feet tall, is like I said, the
And like they must have had issues because the way that they, in my opinion, overregulated them, they must have had issues with someone having signs that were distracting.
I think limiting
If
it
they
to-
limited it to 20 minutes where it couldn't change, the sign face couldn't
Well,
change.
that's right, there was
Yeah.
that thing too.
And then it can't be over 8 feet. They must have had issues with a bunch of billboards or something that
Okay.
were constantly changing.
You know, Hopkins is in the People's Democratic Republic of Minnesota.
This is why I don't like recording these.
No. Oh,
You're being recorded, sir.
I don't care about that. Because the city's fixes, they just fire me.
There you go.
I don't think dynamic signs should be limited to ground signs only. I think that's impractical. Because in that case, we have a non-conforming sign the minute this goes into place.
Well, we already will.
And it's the dental sign, I think,
And I think more and more people are gonna go, I mean,
That's what
billboards are all
technology is.
going to
Yes.
the digital, I mean, everything's going digital, it's getting, that's just the new,
I think we should,
I don't think we need that.
just
I don't
remove it.
think, and I don't think we should add something else in there in its
Just
place.
pull it out.
Yeah, what do you guys think?
We
I
already
would
have
agree.
the size and height restrictions anyway in the
Yes.
intersections, so.
Yeah, you'll still have all that, so we can get rid of it.
Okay,
Text size and legibility, so if the speed limit is 25 to 34, 7 inches, 35 to 44, 9 inches, 45 to 54, 12 inches, 55 or higher, 15 inches. And I'm assuming they did a study on that to how you can see a sign,
So you're not like.
depending on how
going,
fast you're going.
Oh, I
Cause like when
crashed
our
into that."
church did a sign, Indigo told us how big our letters should be so people could actually read it.
Which makes sense, cause you always think it's big enough, but then you go put it
I
there
don't
and it's
think,
not.
I don't think I have a problem with that, I don't wanna have to do a study to
I don't wanna study
come out with
either.
it.
Okay, so-
Somebody did that work.
Mode, dynamic signs shall only be allowed to operate in a static mode. Animation, motion, or video displays are prohibited. Any change from one static display to another must be instantaneous and shall not include any distracting effects, such as dissolving, spinning, or fading. The images and messages displayed must be complete in themselves without continuation in content to the next image or message or to any other sign.
So does a running messaging fall into that? Cause it's
Yeah.
not, it would.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
couldn't have a rolling message.
I don't know.
And some,
There's a lot
so like
of
this
that.
paragraph, some I think is good. I think some of it, they might be going a little
Cause
too
I
far.
think even the Horace Elementary School, like you can,
Yeah, it's like a banner, right?
yeah, it's like a banner.
Which
Couldn't you
those are
record
distracting because I
it
wanna wait
showing
and
on
see till the
Mustangs,
end.
that one.
So I get it.
I understand why they're doing this.
I mean, I get it, but at the same time,
Jim,
like
you know you
Cheyenne
do it.
Mustangs, that digital sign, that can be, it's
running.
Or you look at your
flashing.
mirror.
My church has it and
or-
it drives me crazy because I'm like, yeah, what they put on there now? And you have to like wait before you see it. I get it.
It is distracting, but
I don't know what I would change this to. Why don't we run with this until we find out we don't want it?
And honestly, when I think of enforcement, I question who's gonna actually
Pretty much.
go out and tell
well,
somebody,
that's,
hey, your sign.
that's a lot of this
I
stuff,
just saw it
right?
dissolving
Who's gonna go run around
image
town
on
and
there.
enforce all this?
I know. The city will get there someday where
Size.
it'll have staff to do this.
Yeah.
Size and number of dynamic display. Dynamic signs shall not exceed the maximum sign area of a single sign as detailed above in the permitted signs by district sections, so in those tables that we discussed, for the applicable zoning district in which the sign is placed. The dynamic sign portion, or the dynamic portion of any sign shall not exceed 80% of the total allowable area of the sign. The remaining 20% of the allowable area cannot have dynamic capabilities even if it is not used.
Why?
Why?
Each site can have only one dynamic sign, and that site can only have one dynamic display.
So basically, they're just you're reducing your sign size to 80%.
And I'm assuming that's because most of
So
the
it
rest
has a
is that
border.
black, yeah.
Right, so it has a border.
Yeah.
But like, again, I go back to like the lights there, I don't think they have an edge to that. I mean, that's basically like a TV kind of digital, like a flat screen like this. That doesn't, you know,
Most signs do have a border though,
do they?
a
Okay.
dark border around them. They don't usually go from side to side.
Okay,
Should we just leave it and fix it if it needs to be?
yeah.
Or the next,
Sounds good.
the next planning and zoning commission can?
The next one's the one that I adjusted because they had 20 minutes. The minimum display time shall be 30 seconds. One exception to this standard would be for time, date, and temperature signs, which the federal court has acknowledged as a justifiable exception to limitations on variable message signs. The time, date, and temperature information may change no faster than once every 3 seconds, provided that the display of this information remains at least 30 seconds before changing to another display.
Does
That
30
se-
seconds seem like a long time? I don't know.
I feel like that second sentence doesn't make sense.
What they're saying is you can switch from time, date, and temperature every 3 seconds.
Oh yeah,
But
okay,
then
yep.
if you switch from that to some other image,
You can't do so within 30 seconds.
then, yeah, you have to do.
Yeah, okay, yep, I'm with you now. And they had 20 minutes.
I know.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
I'm just wondering, is 30 seconds, 30 seconds is, it doesn't seem long, but it is. Like, when you sit at a stop sign, and then there's the billboards, or a stoplight.
You're not gonna have
how
any
long is this-
billboards, and you don't have any stoplights.
I know, okay. We're not doing billboards. I keep going to like the digital billboards
Yeah.
that are all around Fargo. Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna argue it. 30 seconds sounds good.
It allows them to do actually more advertising. So it's more beneficial for somebody that has a sign if they can run it through quicker.
Are you good with 30 seconds? Should be more or less?
I don't know, I had 60 written down, but that's a long time too.
Depends on how fast you're driving.
Well, because of the limitation on the size of our sign, then we're not gonna have those huge signs that they've got at the lights, or that
Right.
they've got on the corner of, Veterans and, 32nd.
Right.
They've got another big one there.
Yep, they do.
We're not gonna have those,
Well, is 30 seconds too long for like a school sign?
I think so.
To flip between events and stuff?
I think 30 seconds is,
Yeah, that's just a minimum. It can be up there longer.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's just a minimum,
yeah,
so it's fine.
why don't we just go with it,
Okay.
if that works with you guys.
Yep.
This next one, I need Keith to tell me otherwise. Dynamic signs shall not exceed a maximum illumination of 5,000 nits during daylight hours and a maximum illumination of 500 nits between dusk to dawn as measured from the sign space at maximum brightness. All dynamic sign applications shall include certification from the sign's manufacturer that the sign has been preset to conform to the luminance levels noted above, and these settings are protected from end users' manipulation by password-protected software.
Nits are a unit of brightness, we're not talking about headlights, but piece of term, long story. A nit is a unit of measurement that describes how bright a television, smartphone, computer monitor, laptop screen, or another type of display is. The higher the number of nits, the brighter the display.
So not lumens, but nits.
Okay?
One nit represents more light than one lumen does.
Does represent more?
For example, for a video projector, one nit is approximately equal to 3.4 lumens.
So it sounds like
That's
a nit is supposed to be used for a computer screen, or for a screen.
Yes, it's for
A
video
lumen-
screen. A nit is
Yeah.
for,
A lumen is like a
So there's a
light bulb.
conversion. What
it's
is
how
it?
much
Right,
light
you could
the
be-
screen sends to your
You could be
eyes.
40, 50 lumens with a light. So you would be,
Divide that by
A nit is
3.4
measuring two things,
and
luminous intensity
Divide by
One
3.4.
and area.
so it's not gonna be.
Oh,
It's gonna be 50.
Yeah.
it measures two things, luminous intensity and area.
I think we leave it. It seems to make sense.
I would leave it. Somebody did their homework.
Probably a nitwit.
Well, I hope we're close to the end if that's the
I
case.
just came up with that.
We're on page 20 of, or 21
We're flying.
of
We are
22.
flying. Color.
There's the light.
Statistic in a while.
Dynamic signs may use multiple colors within the display, but the use of color shall not create distraction or a hazard to public health, safety, or welfare. I think they had where you can't use multiple colors, but I changed it because I thought that was dumb.
So what does that mean?
You can have multiple colors as long as they're not distracting.
I don't know.
The whole sign
They had it
is
where you
distracting.
can't use multiple colors, so I'm like, I thought that was
Either
weird.
black and white.
Or just all red or something, I don't know.
Oh, weird.
I'm really curious now, you need to like find who wrote this originally and ask them what the
That's what I said.
issue was that they.
They ran into some serious issues.
There's gotta be some stories there.
Oh, here's what they had. Dynamic signs may use multiple colors within the display, but the use of color shall not create distraction or a hazard to the public health, safety, or welfare. No portion of the display may change in color or color intensity in any manner. Each line of text in any direction shall be uniform in color. So I removed that second sentence to just try to
That
simplify
sounds
it.
fine.
You can use color. Just don't distract people. Operation. All dynamic signs shall be equipped with a means to immediately discontinue the display if it malfunctions. The owner of a dynamic sign must immediately cease operation of their sign when notified by the city that it fails to comply with the standards of this chapter. The dynamic sign shall remain inoperable until such time that the owner demonstrates to the city that the device is in satisfactory working condition and conforms to the standards of this chapter. Appeals of the city's direction regarding the operation of a dynamic sign may be heard by the city council. Basically, your sign doesn't work, shut it off until it works again.
Yep.
Application to existing signs. The dynamic sign standards shall apply to all existing and future dynamic signs unless otherwise determined by the city that an existing sign qualifies as a non-conforming use under state statute or this code. Any existing dynamic sign that cannot meet the minimum text size as required by the speed limit must use the largest size possible for one line of copy to fit in the available display space.
I think we have two signs in town. Or, I think it's the elementary school and the dentist so far.
Yeah, these, yeah.
Ours has got this ticker on it, or the, where we're at.
You have a running one?
Yep.
How many nits is there at night?
I don't know, something that was programmed, so it's probably not
Someone's gonna have
enough.
to go enforce that, you can't have.
I don't know, it's not ours, it's the building one, but,
Okay.
but, so I think there's 3. Well, no, Horace Elementary's gonna have one too, but isn't the one in front of the church? It's just not up yet? Or does that one not have a message on it?
There's not one in-
I don't know.
Yeah, they put a new one up, the Booster Club put
It's
one up.
sponsors on the bottom, but those were,
for
it does
the
have.
Hawks.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
digital on the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah,
That one will have,
Yeah, that was
that one
approved-
will
that was
change, cause I'm
approved.
sure they're gonna do
That was
for
approved by the city.
advertising.
Well,
make
there's the,
money for
like
the
Julie said,
boosters.
there's the blocks underneath of sponsors,
Yep,
But there's information on the LED part, that's the.
Yeah.
they're supposed to, if they,
Well, it doesn't matter how many we have.
it's nice to have, like, they can tell you what events are happening,
that's what I was
supposed to be
thinking of
for.
too,
Yes.
yeah. is the
That's what it was
best.
supposed to be for,
It's not for advertising, no, it's for information as far as what's going on in school.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
like, this game is happening tonight, or this is whatever.
So that next section, 17.16.22, just says if anything is deemed illegal in any of this, that part's removed and the rest is deemed to be legal. The final section gets into appeals. If any interested party desires to appeal the decision of the zoning administrator or his or her designated representative, the interested party must do so within 30 days of the decision by filing a written appeal with the city auditor, stating the grounds upon which the appeal is based. The city auditor will then schedule a time and date for the appeal to be heard before the city council at a regular or special meeting. At the designated meeting, the city council may hear from any interested party, including the zoning administrator. After hearing from the interested parties, the city council may table its decision to request additional information, confirm the decision, or deny the decision. The city council has complete discretion to place conditions on its decision. If the interested party is dissatisfied with the decision of the city council, the interested party may appeal the decision to district court in accordance with North Dakota law. That is your sign ordinance.
Wow.
Ooh, that was a lot of stuff.
It was.
I'm sure Labby did the variance first.
Yeah.
Poor lady'd still be here.
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman, I don't know if we opened the public hearing, but we do have a public hearing notice for this.
Opening the public hearing on the sign ordinance. Closing the public hearing on the sign ordinance, since there is nobody here present for it.
What a shame.
Do we have a motion to approve as amended?
Can we do that? Do we have to have a couple hearings on it or not?
This is your hearing.
This
I
is
mean,
the one.
if there's stuff that you guys wanna discuss further, now would be the
I just read at the bottom of
time.
it, that must be for the city council, is
Oh,
it
yeah.
the first
They-
reading, second reading?
yeah, they
Okay.
do 2 readings,
Then
yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve as discussed and amended during the meeting. How's that?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
So Amy moves to
So,
approve as amended?
so discussion on this, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
What I'll do with this is I will make the revisions that we discussed tonight and send it to all of you.
Yes.
And if there are any issues or if I miss something, we can have the chairman address them to the city council.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
But I don't think we have this even noticed yet for a city council meeting. Not seeing it anyway. We had it for tonight, but I'll have to ask Andrea tomorrow.
Okay, anyway, Amy moved to approve as amended and as discussed, and Julie seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I believe we have completed the night's business. Is there a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I appreciate
Jim.
the dialogue.
You can push it.
That went well.
I can push it?
You can push it.
So I just, no, I can.